everyone. Thank you so much for coming to join us on my Muse Lounge. My name is Khadija Abdullahi, and with me today, I have Penny Ugoin York, and I also have Omolola Daudu here with me today. We're going to share our life experiences, the things, how we grew up, the things that we used to do, the things that how our parents used to treat us, and very interesting stories so that everyone will be at par with us and everyone will understand that Nigeria used to be good, motherhood used to be sweet, and we can do better to raise a generation of more effective and children who will make their contributions to society. We hope that you'll just sit down, relax, and join our news lounge. Today, I'd like to read a little profile of Omolola. Omolola, thank you so much for joining us on time. And even Penny, I think Penny had a problem with her at Zoom, but I'm glad that everybody is here. Let me give you a background of what we're going to be discussing today. We're going to be discussing motherhood, the experiences of how our parents raised us. We're going to share stories. Penny and I had a very interesting story that we would like to share. She shared a story of how our mother raised them as children. And you're all going to be amazed. And Omolola, the reason why we are here together is we want mothers from Omolola's generation who are the millennials, and we want mothers from Penny's generation. And we have our director here, Joyce Okoye. Say hello to everybody. Thank you so much for coming. This is our maiden edition. I'll say a little bit about Omolola. Omolola is a child, and thank you so much for joining us. So, Omolola, thank you for coming.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, and Penny, I hope you're excited about this.
I'm very excited.
So, Joyce is our director. Thank you for joining us, Joyce. So we're supposed to have a co-host called Dr. Maimuna Salim, but she's under the weather and she can't join us today. Let me quickly tell you a little bit about Omolola Daudu. Omolola is a child and a family advocate with over 5 years of experience. Previously served as an advocate at a prominent local NGO in Nigeria, dedicated to combating. Can you hear me?
Yes. We can hear you.
Hello, I can hear some noise. Okay, so let me do that again. Omolola. Let me family advocate. Let me do that again. Since it's recording, I know we're going to edit it. So, yeah. So Omolola is a child and family advocate with over 5 years experience. Previously served as an advocate at a prominent local NGO in Nigeria, dedicated to combating child sexual abuse. She also volunteers with various NGOs focused on addressing gender-based violence in Nigeria. Excuse me. Omolola strongly emphasizes the significance of establishing strong family foundations for ensuring a safer society. Please, everyone, join me in welcoming Omolola to my news lounge. Omolola, I hope you're excited to join us.
I'm excited. Thank you so much. It's a privilege to be
Omolola.
I'm excited to be here.
Okay, so let me tell. Thank you. So as one of my Oga at the bar, she's very passionate about law. So Penny York is a young lady passionate about the welfare and inclusion of women and the girl child in the society. She's a lawyer called to the Nigerian bar in 2012. She holds a master's degree in corporate law and governance. She's also a businesswoman who has also trained young girls in the fashion industry to enable them have economic strength through their skills. So, like I said earlier on, we're going to share stories. I'd like to go first with Penina. Penina, can you tell us, share one of your childhood experience? Because before we started, we were talking about community children. And we know we are all community children. At least for us, I don't even know which generation are we. We're generation, I don't know. We're born in the 1970s, so I don't know which generation we are. But I know that we're Generation X.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm Generation X. Omolola is millennial. I don't know which generation Penina is. Which generation
I
are you?
I was born in the 80s, so I don't know my generation.
So you are a millennial.
Maybe you can help me.
Yes, so you are a millennial now.
Okay.
You are a millennial. You're just the older part of millennial. I know Joyce is a Gen Z. So Penny, while we were on this trip to Asaba, we talked about how children are not even afraid of people's face anymore. When they see an adult, they do not care. They just do whatever they like. And another thing I remembered while we're talking, how children these days are not too devoted about work. So, and we said a lot of things. I need you to tell us the story about your childhood, the story that you told us about your brother, how your brother did something very, I wouldn't give an adjective to it because I wouldn't want it to be, I don't want to label it because he made a mistake and your mother corrected him. And I know he was surrounded about integrity and honesty. So please, can you share that story with us? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited about this because I remember Aja told me about this podcast and I was very interested. You know, growing up as a child, we grew up in an environment where our mothers don't take nonsense. You know, we got talking about children, how children try to, in fact, one of the major things we talked about is a child coming home with so much money and the parents are celebrating that child rather than questioning the source of their wealth. And then it boils down to how that child was raised. I remember we talked about how we can't even come home with pencil that doesn't belong to you without your mom questioning the source of that pencil or who has that pencil. And sometimes even disgracing you, taking you back to school to return it with so much drama and all that. And you can't find that in this generation anymore. As a matter of fact, you scold a child, the mother will come after you and attack you for scolding her child. And I remember, like she said, growing up, my mom was a very loving mother. She's still loving because she's still alive. But she's the type that she will tell you, I won't train a thief. I won't train a wayward child. And the experience I shared that day was I remember very well because there are some memories, there are some things that will happen that you can never forget in your whole life. And it shapes your values. My mom discovered that then we were using coins. My mom discovered that some coins were missing. And then she didn't say anything. She didn't even question anybody. She just set a trap and kept a few coins at strategic places, and she was monitoring who would enter her room at that particular time. And she caught my brother red-handed. as gruesome as it sounds, she used mortar, after flogging him, she used mortar pestle to hit his fingers. And while she was hitting the fingers, she was saying, I will not train a thief. I will not train a thief. As little as we were, I think I was in primary school at that time. For some days, my brother could not eat. His fingers were bent, because of the pain and from that day, nobody dared steal anything in that house because we could remember what happened to. And funnily, my brother is the only son, our only son. Ordinarily, they say, oh, my only child, my one eye. You want to pamper and spoil the child. But my mom refused because she knows that child turns out to be something else in the society. It will still boil down to her. Because like they say, a good child, when they see a bad child in society, they will question the mother. So that was one of I can never forget that experience. And up till date, I can't pick something I would rather ask, who has this? Who has this? And because that memory, it was a very painful memory, but it helped shape our values to know that you're not supposed to pick what doesn't belong to you. And even as a child, of course, we know that children are very adventurous. They have some crazy word and sometimes foolishness is in their hearts. They might not really know the gravity of what they are doing, but it is the role of the mother to put that child back on track. So that's the story I told Aja that she was so interested in, and that has helped shape our life.
Because these days we've been talking about child rights, and we've been talking about a lot of things about disciplining our children and what best methods for us to use. And you are a lawyer, and for you as a lawyer, would you do that to your child now? Would you use the same method your mother used at that time? I'm going to come to family therapy. I'd like to hear that. Would you like to do that to your own child? Would that be the best method you're going to use for your own child?
Well, that's not the best method, especially in this generation and in this time. We are more informed now. We are more we are more informed, and as much as we know that children have rights, there are limitations to those rights, because as a child, most times they don't know what they are doing and the gravity of what they are doing, but it is the responsibility of the mother to put that child back on track. And then we can't look at these rights in the extremes. Yes, and then we can't say, for me, I'm not an advocate of not beating children. There are some mothers who don't beat their children. I am not an advocate for that. I will beat. That's me. That's my own personal, but there should be a limit. Because sometimes when you are, I also advise parents, don't beat out of emotions, because at that time you're angry. If you're not able to control your emotion, you might end up damaging that child rather than correcting that child. So rather than using such measures, harsh or stiff measure, there are better ways. I'd rather communicate with the child, and then if I have to beat that child, if I have to flog that child, I will say, this is the reason why I am doing this to you, because the children are also very informed now. They have a lot of facilities. They have a lot of information at their disposal. So they know, some of them, you might even be surprised, they know their rights. They know how much you can go. They've seen that certain form of punishment is an abuse. So when a child already feels that you are abusing him or her, that child, the essence of that punishment or correction will be defeated. So that's why I feel not every method of punishment is advisable or is ideal. There are certain things that you can do to correct a child without going all the way, without.
Yeah.
And then the other side of it, if you say, okay, my child has rights, so I will try to, you might end up destroying that child too, because it's an extreme
Yeah.
part of the law.
Yeah. 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 Thank you so much, Penny, for that insightful message. Thank you so much. And before I move to Omolola, I'd like to ask you one question. Do you have children?
Not yet, but I have children I've raised.
Okay, that's nice. All right, Omolola, you are married. When did you get married?
I got married in 2021.
Okay.
Yeah,
And you
shortly
have a child
before
now.
the COVID, yes, and I have a 2-year-old who will be 3 in about 4 months.
Oh, nice. Congratulations.
Thank
So,
you.
based on the things you have said before we delve into the last story that Penny told us, can you
Yeah.
tell us a story of honesty while you were growing up? Like she mentioned a lot of things about how we were raised. We cannot come into, we can't come home with a scarf, and then
Yeah.
your mom is asking you, where did you get that scarf from?
Yeah.
I'd like you to share a story about how maybe a certain, go back to memory lane and share something about one story that maybe you did, maybe you brought in something and your mom did not approve of it. And why do you think, I'd say that quickly, why do you think that our parents were particular about us not bringing things that they did not buy for us? So the first one is, tell us a story, and then the second one, tell us why you think our parents were very adamant on us bringing things.
Okay. I think my story is I brought a whole human being home because I have a very kind mom. So my siblings and I were coming back from church one day and we saw this little boy taking bread from the dustbin. Now his mom is like the neighborhood nanny. She helps a lot of houses to wash clothes, to iron, to sweep. If you know akamo can be really hard to make. So the woman, you will call the woman, she will grind the akamo, the maize, and she will not dachi. She in Hausa we call it dachi. That is, she's going to sieve it to become pap. And so that's the woman's son. And one day my brother was like, okay, let's bring this boy home so he can sleep in our house because their house is attached on the hill. I grew up in Jos. So his family lives just on the foot of a hill. So the cold, the wind, everything, they are not covered at night. So we brought that boy into our house, and my dad did not know, my mom did not know. We brought him through another door where they didn't have the view of that door from the sitting room. And that boy slept in the house. We gave him food. We gave him a small mattress to sleep on the floor of my brother's room with a blanket. Now, even though that was a good thing to do, my mom noticed by morning, and then she called a friend who also lived close by, and the friend came to the house. And the friend scolded us bitterly and was like, what you guys did is good, but anything would have happened to that boy. What if he started convulsing at night and he died, or something? What would you guys have said for yourself? So that just entrenched in my memory that my mom was so sad and angry at us, and she trusted that this family friend also had our best interests at heart and would be able to talk to us sensibly about why our actions was wrong, even though we had the best intentions. So that was one thing that was embedded in my head, that see, our parents did not joke with community. They knew the importance of having people around that can also talk to your children. You didn't give birth to the child to be
You know,
only disciplined by you. Other people had access to discipline your child fairly and kindly. And then for while our parents didn't allow us to bring things home, I think then we lived in a society where number one, the economy was, you say, a bit better than in my own case. I grew up in an average home. We were not rich, we were not poor. We had our high days and very low days where there was not even food to eat. But my mom was trying to teach us contentment. That I keep saying that if I don't have anything good to say about my parents, one of the first words I'll use on them is contentment. They taught us contentment because they're very contented people. So that bringing something home that is not yours, like my mom would be like, "What are you doing?" I remember then, I love cute things. I love cute pencils, stationaries, journals. And I went to a school where some of my classmates had the privilege of having some of these fancy pencils and biros and journals and even files. And then we had a cartoon that was raining then, and people would bring pencils with that cartoon character. And I'm like, why is my mom buying me yellow pencil or that red and black one? Me too, I want a pencil with a cartoon character. And so a friend came and she gave me one and I took it home. And my mom beat the living daylight out of me. She's like, why would you collect that pencil from that person? I bought you pencil. You have pencil. There's no difference between your pencil and her pencil except the design. So why are you not contented with what you have? So I think one thing parents taught us then was contentment. Contentment was a key thing back in the day. You don't bring home things that you are not yours, and probably your parents can't, afford financially. So yeah.
Aja, I think you're muted. Can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. I said I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked Penny. Would you do the same thing that your mom did to you on that particular incident?
In my case, Penny was saying she has had parents that don't like to beat their kids. I think millennial parents fall in that category because most of us were beaten silly as children to the extent that we still have marks. We bear marks from that time. So I think we just understood that sometimes she said something very important, that you don't start to beat a child without, having an intention behind it and then being overly violent with the beating. So for me, I don't completely, or rather, I won't say I will beat my child like the way my mom beats me, but definitely there will be discipline. And being a millennial parent with so much information and, being also someone who is very much interested in psychology and is building a career in that area, I understand that there are different methods of disciplining a child. And for me, before I bring out my cane or before I beat the child, I need to know what the magnitude of the offense is. Yes. So for him bringing a pencil home that he got from a friend, he didn't steal it. The friend gave him. So I don't think beating will be the answer. And then we must also understand that there are different kinds of children. My mom will say I was the kind of child that needed beating. Bana Jim Magana, I don't hear word. So I needed beating. But our middle born, he's currently a student of engineering in Abuja. He is a calm, collected, cool person, even now as an adult. So him, when he does the same thing that I did, my mom will not beat him because she believes that he had thinking. He thought the process through before he arrived at that crime. But for me, I am naturally disposed to crime, so she's going to beat me. So for my son, I don't think I'll beat him because I don't see him as the kind of child that we should any small thing I should beat him. So for that kind of situation, I will not beat him. There are things that he does that definitely I will tell him I will give you papas. And I do, discipline with my hand, but not always. That's not my go-to discipline method always.
So interestingly, I love that angle that you brought in while you are telling your story. Called you when you people were kind enough to bring somebody else home. I love that we started off talking about community. We started off raised with those values, not to the values of honesty, the values of contentment, which you brought into the mix, which is very interesting. You were talking about your temperament and that of your brothers. And I can tell you, Oha, right now that my children, my first child was born the same year with you, Omolala, Christ frozen. My first child was born the same year with you. And I don't know about 1994 children. I know that you guys have one peculiar thing. Second child was born in 1996. You guys don't listen. My second child was born in 1996, and the same method your mother used for you, I would use it for my first and my second child. The first child, I'll beat the first child. The second child, I don't have to beat him because he thinks things through. And this comes to the what do you call it? This goes to my next question to Penny. Okay, let me ask our director, Joyce. From what you have heard today, you are a Gen Z. What do you think you would have? Do you have a story to share about your mother's method, or maybe something about you bringing home something, or maybe how you were disciplined as a child to maintain contentment and to maintain honesty and uphold your family values? Joyce.
Okay, thank you, Ma. So I think basically what happened in my childhood was that we were taught to have this level of transparency with our parents. So if I had got that pencil back, for example, I would come first and show it to my mom. See this pencil, and then it will start that conversation of, oh, where did you get it from? So the thing that I grew up with that really helped us in my family was the issue of transparency. We're just so open. It's as if tell us everything and anything that happens to you.
Yeah.
So that gave us room.
Yeah.
All these things are growing up.
So I'd like to share a little bit of my own methods while I was raising my children. Yeah, thank you very much, Joyce, for sharing. Thank you, everyone. It has been a very interesting discussion. But I'd like to share quickly how my own methods work. Number one, I do not allow my children share their clothing. Everyone must wear what you have. If I bought a dress for you, you must wear it. You must not wear your. So 5 biological, 2 non-biological. And I know that each one of them, I try to buy things for them that may be the same, but maybe different colors. And if the other person says that, okay, I don't accept that. No matter how I don't like to see this person's clothes on this person's body. I like everybody to have theirs, because what most parents do not understand is that by the time you teach a child from childhood to be contented with what they have, it protects them from looking at other people's own. It helps us avoid the issue of what's that mean that this generation called runs girls, or maybe children that would go and take from other people, or think that that is what's the in thing. What do they call it?
Hook up.
Benny. Hook up. It protects hookups for you to say, okay, I must have this thing. If not, I will die. Because we must know that social media has changed a lot of things. It has changed the entire facet of how we're raising our children. And we cannot deny that this social media is the one that is making people, the reason why we're having the Yahoo boys, who are children, ingenious children that could use that Yahoo-ness to do good things for themselves, good things for their community, good things for their families. But we have, I think that our Generation X, have dropped the ball. We've done a lot of things that we're not supposed to do. For example, we're having a discussion recently with somebody, and she was telling me that the men in this generation, especially in our generation, have refused to teach their children how to even put the bulb when the bulb goes off, because they feel that another person should do it. without thinking that this thing that you're teaching your child is giving the child life skills, so that wherever the child goes, the child is able to understand that I have to do this for myself. I need to know how to cook. I need to know how to do this. All of these things are well-rounded values that has helped us to grow as children. Why are we not teaching our own children these things? And this is why I love that the panelists today are all millennials and Gen Zs, and they are sharing how they have been raised, which is not too far away from how I raised my children. How I was raised is basically different. It's not too far from how you guys were raised, because in those days, I do not dare to bring anything. I cannot tell you that I have a story now that I can share with you, but recently I know that what happened to my child was she came home with a T-shirt that said that I am a rebel or something. That read something that was not like don't talk to me or something that was not right in my head. And I said, Kadila, come. Who gave you this T-shirt? She said, her friend. I said, did you read what was written on that shirt? She said, I don't care, whatever. Is it something that was not it? And I asked her that you have this T-shirt. She said, no, she can't return it. She can't tell her husband. I said, it's the thing. I can't really remember what was written there, but it was vulgar. It was not something that I would like my child to wear, because I am old school, but I feel that words are powerful. I don't know if you guys think the same thing. I think words are powerful. The things you say to yourself, the things you portray as a human being are the things that you live by. So I know that we've talked a lot today, and I think that we should end this session now. I would like to have Penny share some tips about contentment, around contentment, what she will do for our future child. What would you like? How would you like to raise your future child? I love that you said that you're going to communicate with the child and you're going to use different methods. I love that very much. I'd like to say, to end this conversation, how we should do better. What do you think that mothers should do better in raising their children? Because the whole, excuse me, the whole essence of my Muse Lounge and this episode being motherhood to nationhood, we're trying to see how we can raise the next mentor, the next generation of mothers, to ensure that the children that they are going to raise are children who will make a meaningful contribution to the growth and development of our communities and to Nigeria and to Africa. So Penny, I'll give you the role to tell us, from all that we have said, maybe sum it up and tell us what you will do differently in raising a child that is honest, that is contented. And contentment is very important. It's a very deep value now that we have leaders stealing from the treasuries. What would you do differently from what your mother did to you? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. We've said a lot, and I've also learned a lot from this conversation. And I'd like to say that the first issue with mothers is how they were also raised. Because if a mother, like they will say in the law, you can't give what you don't have. If a mother doesn't have these values of contentment, or she doesn't even see anything wrong with being greedy or being being desperate, that's the word. If she doesn't see anything, she doesn't have those values as growing up as a child, you will find her passing it to her children, living it like a normal life. So how do we now help women who are already dysfunctional? How do we come in to assist these people to know that you have to work, You have to be prudent. You have to be honest. You have to be content with whatever you have. Talking about raising, like I said, I don't have a biological child yet. I desire to have mine, but I know that I want my sister, one of my sister's son, she had to go to school, and while I was still at home, I had to raise that child. And I remember one particular incident. I bought this shortbread biscuits, and you know how sweet shortbread is. I gave him one piece. He ate. He asked for more. I gave him, and then he came back asking for more. I gave him the third piece, and I was like, "That's okay. That's the last one I will give you." And then I dropped it, and it was just by my side. He now started coming, coming slowly to pick from it without me noticing it. And I noticed it, and I slapped his hand. I said, "What are you trying to do? You want to steal? Okay, I kept this to give you later, but I won't give you again." He started crying. As a child, he was about 3 or 4 years then. He started crying. And then my dad asked, "What is the problem? Why are you crying?" He said, "I beat him because of biscuits." "What kind of shortbread?" My dad, I said, come and take money and go and buy it. And I told my dad, "No, this is the reason why I refused to give it to him. And this is the reason why I beat him for doing that." And you see, my dad did not wait to hear why I disciplined him in that manner. And that is also the problem most parents have. You hear that, okay, your sister or your sibling or somebody in the society, you've not found out why this thing was done, this action was carried out, this disciplinary action was carried out. You are already emotional. Okay, if it's because of biscuits, go and buy your own.
Yes.
And a lot of mothers are like that today. That's you're depriving that child of that contentment value. Like when growing up, my mom would say, if you eat and you come and ask for more food, my mom won't give you. She will tell you, drink water. Be satisfied with whatever they put in the plate for you. Yes. So I think some of those things are values that we have grown up to understand. And yes, even though my method will be communicating better with the child, just like Omolola said, and Joyce also mentioned, that transparency is a very vital point in raising children.
Yeah.
That your children can be comfortable to tell you anything, no matter how bad it is. It's in fact, it's very, very good. So mothers, I think, like you said, in the course of this program, I suggest we should also have a kind of community-based meeting with women, because some of them are already damaged. Some mothers are already damaged, some are already dysfunctional, some don't even have the time. So how do we now repair the damaged ones? And you also notice, as a mothers here know that association is very important. These children go out there to associate with other children, probably from dysfunctional backgrounds, and they pick up those things. So if we have mothers that have been reorientated, and they are able to know that they can also start from there, no matter, it's never too late to start again. That's what I think.
Thank you so much, Penny. Those were very, very, very wisdom-based nuggets that you shared. Wise words, wise nuggets. I'd like to speak on that, but I'd like to hear from Omolola. What are your last thoughts about all that we've said today? In summary, I loved the way she concluded. Our objective of doing Motherhood to Nation with this episode is to see how we can raise the next generation of mothers. And she brought in a very, very vital one, that we should do a community engagement and see the level that the mothers are in. Because this is a huge task, but I know we can do it. Conversations like this can rewire a lot of vision, or kind of country or the kind of Africa we are hoping to have, the one that is sane and the one that is very effective for growth and development. So let's hear from you, Amanola. As a child specialist, what do you think?
Yeah, I think for me, I will end by saying that intention is very important. I strongly believe in the power of intention, even as a parent. I knew it academically, that is, I had read about it. But now that I am a mother, I'm saying that intention is very, very important. You have to sit down with yourself. If you're a single mom or a single dad, you have to sit down with yourself and decide what's the kind of method I want to use to approach parenting. If you are a family dynamic that you have the husband, the wife, that's the mom and the dad and the child or the children, sit down as a family and decide what method of parenting are we going to use for our children. So now we have four major types of parents, and we have the authoritative, we have the authoritarian, we have the neglectful parenting, and then we have the gentle parenting. Even though as a millennial, I dare say that the authoritarian and the gentle parenting is, they work hand in hand, they work together. So you have to sit down and be very intentional as a parent. As I said, I believe that a lot of the ills we see in the society today can be healed from the family. If the father is okay in his head, if the mother is okay in her head, they are likely to produce children who will also be okay in their head. So if your family has value systems of saying no stealing, no lying, we are going to have children who also are having that value system. So, number one, be very intentional as a parent. What parenting style do you want to approach your family? What kind of family are you building? Approach your family like a business. You cannot just say, oh, I want to get married and then I have a child, and then that's it. If you're going to build a company, you register with CAC, you write a lot of documentation. The same thing applies to a family. Personally, I have a working document that I use for my family. It sounds like I'm overdoing things or I'm doing so much, but we have a working document that we are the Dowdos. This is our value system. This is what we intend to do, how we intend to affect the world around us. So be intentional as a parent, be intentional as a mom, as a dad. And then number two, what are the values that you are instigating into your child, or you are, pouring or nurturing into your child? You have to be very, very intentional about that too. What kind of value do you want or values do you want your children to uphold in society? Because family is not about you alone. Family is for the society. It's the smallest unit of society. It's what makes up Nigeria. Nigeria is made up of millions of families. So, what values are you teaching your children to uphold in Nigeria, to uphold in the US, to uphold in Canada, to uphold in the world? What values are you teaching them? So my last words are majorly to parents, because that's where my niche is, that you have to be intentional, and you have to be intentional about the value system that you're instilling into your children on a daily. Be intentional. Be intentional. I'll keep singing that. Be intentional. Don't allow things to just go. Don't allow social media to parent your child. Don't allow the church or the mosques alone to parent your children. The mosques, the church, they have very good systems in place at times that helps parents, with their parenting, but don't allow them to be the chief parents. You are the chief parent. Whatever your family and friends and neighbors are doing for your child, they are just supporting. They are community. They are the village that is helping you, but you are the village head. So I will leave with that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys so much. I am so grateful. This is our first edition, and I love the conversation, the tips you have given. You have enriched the podcast, and I pray that talking about intentionality, talking about treating your family as a business, and having, like, of course, in a business, you have culture, you have core values, you have culture that you adopt in your business. You have all of those elements in your business. Why can't you apply that to your family, and why can't you apply that to the upbringing of your family? So when you said that, I was thinking about this. You're saying all of these things, Amalola, because because you have studied, you are a psychologist, you understand, you are using intentionality to raise your children. And that's one of the reasons why we're having this conversation. Now we're talking about all of these things. What about the people at the grassroots? How do we help them bring up their children the right way? Because these conversations are valid and they're important. We don't have a lot of people having these kinds of very deep and intentional conversation. The woman at the grassroots who is raising a child that is thinking about this. These are my end notes, because we are going to still have more conversation in the future, and we're going to invite most of you. But I need to bring this out there. That this woman that is at the grassroots, who is raising a child, that is thinking of how this child is going to eat, and a Boko Haramist or some of this maybe all these kidnappers or these kinds of dangerous groups now come and say, okay, take 5,000 or take 50,000. I'm going to take your child. And then the child becomes a child soldier. How do we get into these places and see how to raise, like what Penny said? Penny said that you cannot give what you do not have. These women, most of them are even children themselves. They had children from child marriage. How do we now begin to think about raising another generation of women who are thinking about the contribution of their children to society, or who are thinking about, they to have values, they want to see their children with those values that can help the society to grow? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your insightful contribution and making this podcast reach. Penny, I'm still going to call you in many other podcasts. Omolona, you too. Thank you so much, my director, Joyce Okoye, for setting all of this thing up.